No, you are not my father. I am not a disgrace. I am vengeance. I am the knight. I am Batman!
Right, shall we get to it?
We need some kind of, I don't know, like high energy. You know, like the start of exercise videos, the 80s ones?
Yeah?
Hey everybody, welcome to the 2DCast. Me, Bobby Best, and two other guys, Kieran Flanagan and Kieran Mark Antonio.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hi guys, how's it going?
I've got the perfect music to get us jazz.
We're ready to pump you up. What is it?
Wait for it. Have to look for it. Here it is.
It's the preparation that gets me, all the effort we put into this.
Yeah.
Wait for it. Can you hear it?
Live from the Nestle Arena, welcome to the finals of the 1987 Jazz Championship.
Oh, that is a brilliant video.
And the body shop from Hollywood, California, Flash. And from his skin shop, Detroit, Michigan, Lightning.
So yeah, basically this.
Yeah.
Okay,
or Stan Bush, the player.
Okay, well, I'm just going to leave like everything we've said so far in, so that will serve as the intro to the 2DCast on irishcomicnews.com and followthenerd.com. Well, that was a high energy. You know, it started off lo-fi, but that music really got me jazzed. I'm like shucking and jiving here. Wow.
It is year 2005 plus 10.
Boys, on a day in which, shockingly, common sense prevailed in the entertainment industry.
I'd like to start this off by thanking North Korea for their wonderful hack job on Sony, which has made the return of Spider-Man to the Marvel Universe possible. Thanks, North Korea. Well done.
Thank you. North Korea is best Korea.
North Korea, no, but America. Tweet.
But they like Spider-Man, obviously.
I could not be more surprised, lads. I'm just totally shocked. Bobby, you made a very salient point on Facebook today that for once the news sites got it. The news sites got it right.
Yeah, I couldn't see that totally logical, like, business idea being ever made by successful business people. I did not see this coming. My flabber is gasted and my ass is astounded.
We did talk.
Of course it was going to happen, for crying out loud.
I mean, we talked about it to the point where we were like, we talked about this exact outcome happening, and we talked about it at the time, you know, when all of the hacks were going on, and maybe it could happen, maybe it might happen, you know. There was a good few GIFs and memes and everything else knocking around about Captain America carrying a bloodied and beaten Spidey home.
Oh, I feel like such a prick about that, because I fucking pillared whoever came up with that, and now they are the genius, whereas I am the shithead. And
Hey, Flanagan.
Jeez, I mean, God, the repercussions are sort of, well, the repercussions are lasting, because first of all, Captain Marvel's got it in the butt.
Well,
not literally, that would be hideous.
No, it wouldn't.
Listen, if a few movies are after getting knocked out of whack here, I mean, this is monumental. This is genuinely monumental. Marvel's single biggest character is back in-house. They're going to change all of the plans that they had, or I assume, being, you know, forward-thinking business people, they had a contingency in mind should this work out.
Yeah.
And they're now going with that contingency.
And there's no way they could go, yeah, here are the following movie releases, up to and including my 40th birthday. These things were always going to be fluid, so, something might come forward, something might get pushed back. It's not a good thing or a bad thing, it's just a thing. We'll see all the movies eventually, just not when that, hey everybody, welcome to EmpireMagazine.com. Here's a picture you can look at with all of the things. So that's now changed.
It raises some interesting questions. I'm presuming that young Andrew Garfield is now out in the cold.
He's out. He's out. Although interestingly, J.K. Simmons may be back in as J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, that's so great. That is so. Have you seen Whiplash?
I have, yeah.
Tremendous.
I have not. But it's okay, go ahead.
Well, J.K. Simmons is a really good actor.
Yeah, I know, we always knew that.
The fact that he maintained the relationship with Marvel by taking over the J.J. Jameson role in all of their current running animated series, that always kind of smacked to me of Marvel going, we're keeping him just in case.
He's a menace.
I want poetry about Spider-Man. Are they going to do, presumably, is it going to be a hard reboot, a soft reboot? How are they going to play it?
Oh, it's a hard reboot. It's going to be a new actor. I'm assuming, and this is just my own speculation, I'm assuming that Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and what was the other movie that was pushed back?
I think it was Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok. I'm assuming they're being pushed back because as of right now, Civil War is going to happen with Spider-Man in it.
Yeah, I think Ragnarok's only being pushed back like 3 months or something.
I'm assuming. Well, we said it. We speculated that Black Panther might take the Spider-Man role in the Civil War storyline. Guess what? They don't need that now, which is probably why Black Panther is after being pushed back. Now, again, this is all speculation, but if you're Marvel and you're making Civil War and Spider-Man is now accessible to you, well, you're gonna do it, aren't you?
Absolutely, you're gonna do it. Well, it's. I'm quite overwhelmed.
I know it is. It's a big move. It's a big move, and it also opens the door to other possible, shoddily treated franchises.
Yeah,
we are one bad box office weekend away from that happening quite imminently.
Would you like to hear the revised schedule according to International Business Times?
Yes.
So we get Age of Ultron as normal, Ant-Man, Captain America is May 16, Doc Strange, November 16, Guardians of the Galaxy, May 17. These things, none of these have changed. Spider-Man then, July 17, followed hot on the heels by that by Ragnarok, November 17, so that'll be fucking tight.
Yeah, well,
Spider-Man will still be in a lot of cinemas whenever Thor 3 comes out.
I don't think that's a coincidence, Bobby.
Yeah. Infinity War, May 18, Black Panther, July 18, and then very closely after that, Captain Marvel, November 18, then Infinity War Part 2, May 19, and Inhumans, 12th of July 2019.
We may see him sooner than that, gentlemen.
Yeah.
We may see him sooner than that.
He's going to start showing up on Netflix very shortly, I would imagine. He's going to
start showing up on Netflix. They're filming multiple series based in New York. As soon as that kid is cast, there's going to be some random shot of him swinging through that city, or something of that nature. He's back. It's Spider-Man back with Marvel. I don't see them doing anything other than capitalizing on that as much as possible. And I gotta say, it was, we talked about it a while back. It was Marvel have done a masterful job of making Sony look like the villains in this situation, and making Marvel look like the conquering heroes that are bringing their.
That's right. The Disney subsidy has made Sony look like the big guy.
Yeah, I'm just saying it. It's interesting this really is. I seriously feel this is somehow a result of the hack. If that hack hadn't happened, this might have gone a completely different way.
Can I just point something out? Because I was in work today and we were talking about this. We were talking about I unfriended such and such, I unfriended such and such, on Facebook, and I was on about, I just unfollow people because it's handier. I mean, you'd only unfriend somebody if you didn't want them to see your stuff, and they were going, "Oh God, this person's really annoying." And I was like, "Yeah, you know what really annoys me is people putting up stuff about football." And then everyone went, "Football, shut up, Bobby." I was like, "Right." People, the thing that annoys me, and I've unfriended or unfollowed a lot of people on Facebook, is by going, they always go, we beat you last week. We played really well. We were robbed, right? You didn't do fuck all. Now, the way they explained it to me was it's, football, something, 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 sense of belonging, to something bigger than yourself. So with that in mind, gentlemen, I'd like to give yourselves a round of applause. We did this. We played a blinder with getting Spider-Man involved with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Congratulations to us.
Yes, we win.
We win. We did it. We win the internet.
That's one more for the bad guys.
Yeah.
Now, all we have to do is get Fantastic Four back, and then Sony will make a deal over. Do you know what? I'd say if Fantastic Four goes badly.
When Fantastic Four goes badly.
Called it with Kieran Flanagan.
When Fantastic Four goes badly, right? They'll negotiate to get Fantastic Four back, and they'll get Fantastic Four back, but that's when Fox will be like, "Can we have a little bit of your success? You want to maybe cross over with the X-Men universe?"
Yeah, probably something like that's going to happen. But it's a good day. We've waited for this day.
And then finally, Hugh Jackman can walk through a Marvel movie, proud, head held high.
No.
I'd say there's. I mean, this is probably going to be a breaking story. We're going to cover this over the next couple of weeks. We'll keep you informed here on the 2DCast. That was my UTV news reader.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. We're going to keep an eye on this Spider-Man situation. We're going to keep a close eye on it. If that web slinger shows up in any of these things, we're going to be there. We're going to see him. We're going to break him. We're going to swing him around. It's going to be amazing.
My God.
You know what this is, brother? This is a dirt sheet, otherwise known as a news website. Rip it up.
Oh, yeah.
Macho Man didn't hurt his arm. And the Macho Man comes out with his arm in a cast.
Probably the most obscure reference ever on the 2DCast.
Oh no, I can go more niche than that. Trust me.
Live from the Nestle Arena, welcome to the finals of the 1987.
Warrior.
Oh, we have fun, don't we, lads? Right, let's get on to some reviews. Who can tell me something about The Walking Dead?
It was a very, very, very good episode. It was a very, very, very different episode. The way they shot it, the way that they brought... who's seen it, first of all? Are you guys?
I have seen it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. You have not?
I have not. I don't care. Go ahead.
You have not. Okay. Well, it involved spoilers. Spoilers for The Walking Dead from this week, from this point forth. If you don't want spoilers from The Walking Dead, fast forward past this bit. So, one of my favorite characters from the comics died. Absolutely. It was the main part of the story was essentially the death of Tyrese. And him coming to terms with everything he'd done before he passed on. And the way that they did it was essentially him being not bitten once but bitten twice, in a confined bedroom where he began to hallucinate about all of the people from the group who had passed on before him. So we got returns from the governor, returns from the two little girls, returns of the previous Wire actor who I can't remember his name, who's the drunky. They ate my leg, dude. It was a good episode. It was really, really interesting that, they took one of these characters that for me never really became the version that he was in the comics, but was completely interesting for other reasons.
Yeah, I think at this point that the TV show is so removed from the comics that it makes no difference really. There's the nugget there at the center, but it doesn't matter.
No.
Bobby,
Rick has both hands for a start. His son has both eyes.
Rick has both hands. His son has both eyes. Andre is dead. A lot of people who were alive at this point are dead in the book. Or alive at this point in the books are dead in the show, and their roles have been taken over by others. I would argue that what's his face from the farm? Oh my god, I'm pulling a complete blank on The Walking Dead tonight for some reason.
The old guy.
Beardy McDoctor One Leg.
Yeah. Well, Beardy McDoctor One Leg essentially became comic book version of Dale when Dale left after season 1.
Yeah.
And he essentially morphed into Dale. And other characters have kind of morphed into versions of other characters in the book. It's interesting the way they do it.
I'm given to understand that the episode was full of possible foreshadowing from stuff that had been in the comics.
Yes.
Most subtly, the baseball bat and oh god, I'm drawing a blank now. What's his thingy?
Negan.
Thingy McAsian.
Glenn's fate with the baseball bat at the
Thank you.
Oh, issue 100.
Oh, sorry, Bobby. That's like 2 years ago now.
It's nearly 3 years ago.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. They teased Negan in the previous episode. In the mid-season closer, they teased Negan as being the guy who had essentially caused the cannibals to become the way that they were. So Negan's out there, as far as I'm concerned. The moment what they're doing is they're essentially doing the foreshadowing you're talking about as well is that where they go in this storyline is they're taking the refugee that they took from the hospital at the in the mid-season closer home to try and find his people.
Everybody hates Chris.
Yeah, that guy. So they take him home, and he's in essentially his home is foreshadowing a future gated community that appears in the comics as well.
Decent.
Sorry, Kieran, 2 seconds. Kieran, did you just go, huh?
Yeah. Which
everybody hates Chris is that one guy?
You lying.
That's his name. Everybody hates Chris.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's that show that about a racially different Chris Duffy, right? Yeah, that's the one. So.
I don't get it.
You don't get it? Okay, don't worry about it, Flanagan. Here, have a little bit of this. Okay. So where were we? What?
Chris Duffy.
Yeah, we're taking Everybody Hates Chris home.
Okay, so we're taking Everybody Hates Chris home, and Everybody Hates Chris is from a gated community that he believed was safe.
Red Hood.
In the books, they do come eventually to a gated community that is relatively safe and ran by what I've always considered to be a Patrick Stewart-looking motherfucker. So I think there was a little bit of foreshadowing of that going on. They're currently in the middle of the storyline about Abraham and Eugene has just revealed that, you know, there is no safe haven in Washington. He was lying. There is no cure. So
liar, liar, kill him with fire. Yep.
Yeah, kill that slightly retarded Bill Hicks looking dude. Kill him. It's at a stage now where, as you say, it's so different from the comics that when they do show something from the comics, it's kind of a nice grounding element to it now. Whereas previously they were trying, I think, a little too hard to dedicate it completely to what had gone on in the comics, and it's actually gotten a lot better since it veered. It's also benefited from the fact that the same showrunner has been on the show for 3 seasons now. Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3 suffered from that. They had a different showrunner every year, so they had a different guy heading the ship.
Hold on, was Frank Darabont not season 1 and 2?
He didn't even do all of Season 1, did he?
No, he developed what was the idea for Season 2, but had major falling out with the network during it. He did do the whole first season, but I believe he was only on board for the first 2. He's credited for the whole season, but he was replaced.
Yeah, but like Tony Moore's credited for the whole thing as well. But
yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Okay.
Legalities.
So, it was a good return. I liked it. I'm really looking forward to Game of Thrones, though. Game of Thrones.
Let's not get into that. We're a ways away from that yet. Although, have they announced any of the IMAX screening in the UK or Ireland?
They haven't announced it down here yet. No.
Okay.
I'm nowhere near an IMAX screen.
Well, Bobby, you
tell
should,
you where one is.
you should come to this here, London. There's IMAX screens in every street corner. I'm looking at a Skype picture of Kieran Marcantonio on an IMAX screen right now in my own bedroom.
Oh, it's frightening.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Better Call Saul. One I've been waiting for a long time since the demise of Breaking Bad. Did you catch that one, gentlemen?
I did indeed.
First episode, I just assumed that the second episode was next week.
No, it was on last night. So,
yeah.
They're Netflixing it, dude. They're doing one a day for like a week.
Which is brilliant, and it's. I mean, the Netflix model is one that's I think is just going to benefit people like us from now until the end of time.
Yeah, I don't like
Bless
the
the
way.
day. God bless the day that all of Daredevil drops in one day. I mean, we're all just taking that day off, right? I am. Fuck Daredevil, man.
What is it, April 12th, isn't it?
That's
They're about.
It's a Sunday.
Yeah,
I'll be taking that Monday off.
yeah. Well, we're going to be busy that day anyway, gentlemen.
You know, something we
You're
don't.
so mysterious.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, well, we're doing that thing that I'm doing later on this show.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, that's right. We'll be in that sweat lodge in Ballyliffin or
Well, I think
whatever.
I think it's going to be more urban than that, but nonetheless, Better Call Saul, really, really, really atmospheric. Like, I was surprised by quite how moody it was to start off. It was like a Jim Jarmusch film for the first 5 minutes, with Saul working in this fucking, as he predicted, in a Cinnabon in Omaha, and I was just. For the first time in a couple of years, I sat down and concentrated on something for a full hour. It was really, really great. I just was so impressed by how deliberately it was paced, and the little Easter eggs that they threw in for fans. It was really good. You could see that if you're a fan of Breaking Bad and of the character, that's great. You're going back to what you know, but you could come into it having never heard of the character, and it would be like a really rewarding experience on the get-go.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a really good show. I liked the fact that they were telling it from a perspective of flashback, in that we see him now, and we immediately go, like, in your head, you can't help it. You go, oh, I wonder if we're going to get some little thing about Walt or some little thing about Jesse. But this is the first character we've seen post-finale of Breaking Bad, and that in and of itself is interesting.
Yeah.
And the way that they did the flashback model, it's as in going back to the mid-2000s, seeing him when he was Mr. McGill, that's interesting. Seeing his family life for the first time, as in his elder brother, who essentially suffers from electromagnetic sensitivity.
Yeah, played in a really understated way by Michael McKean of Spinal Tap.
Yeah, the lead singer of Spinal Tap.
Brilliant. He's looking old though.
He is looking old, but I like seeing him as Saul's brother. That's really interesting.
We're all looking old.
Pardon? Shut up, Bobby. Shut up. Stop.
Just saying.
Maybe you two are looking old. I'm looking gorgeous.
Yeah, on this IMAX screen, Kieran, I can see you in punishing detail as you sit on the Iron Throne, looking at me with a come-to-bed stare. Oh.
Eyebrow popped, sword in hand, ready to go, man.
Yeah, so really good episode. Nice to see Mike Ehrmantraut in there. I'm interested to see where that's going, because it ever so slightly contradicts his established backstory, doesn't it?
Ever so slightly, but we don't know. We don't know what Mike's up to, being the not absolutely, completely and totally unhelpful parking attendant to the courthouses of New Mexico.
Yeah, the prick.
We knew he was a pillar, and we knew that he, then stopped being a cop, and he just looks like a crabbit man stuck in a booth doing a job he doesn't want to do. So that this is probably just where he ended up, sort of before he met Saul McGill.
Excellent use of the term crabbit there, Bobby. Well done.
Aye.
Good one. So I'm expecting much. In fact, I'm counting the minutes to this hateful fucking podcast ends, so we can go watch episode 2.
Well, there. Let's stretch this out. Who's excited seeing Tuco?
Actually, Actually, I saw him somewhere recently in something, and I said, "There's Tuco," and I was more excited by that than I was by this.
Yeah. Well, when I was a lad, I used to really enjoy Tom Clancy books.
Oh, aye.
And in that one movie, Clear and Present Danger, he played one of the characters in the books, Chavez. So I always sort of wanted to see him in more of the, Tom Clancy movies, but that sadly didn't happen. So it was good seeing him in Breaking Bad. And it's just a shame that he got blew up by one of those things you bought when you were in Portrush, stroke Bundoran, when you were away. The wee snap things you just throw on the ground.
Aye. Oh, aye.
That's a thing that happened in Breaking Bad, if you remember.
I remember that. Walter blew him up, but that didn't kill him. It just blew him up. Well, what was it that killed him? I can't remember. Oh, it was Walter.
Me neither.
I can't remember Breaking Bad at all.
No, you should watch Flanagan.
What?
Breaking Bad.
I've seen it all twice. Yeah, I've seen it all. Yeah, I was much like Patrick Stewart in that episode of Extras. I've seen everything. Well, you wanted to review some comics.
Yeah, because this is a comics podcast and shit.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Right, first up, Batman issue 38, Endgame, part 4 by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Have either of you gentlemen read it?
No.
No. Okay, well here we are. This is... Tell me you at least read Death of the Family.
No.
Lads, all honesty, I haven't read. I've read since Christmas. I've read 5 new comics.
My God.
I am about 100 comics behind.
Well, I'm deep into the DC lore, as you're well aware, and I've been reading Batman since it relaunched with the New 52. It's been led. The ship has been led by one man that whole time, and that's been Scott Snyder. And this is his Joker Endgame story. Previously, in Death of the Family, the Joker attacked the Bat family, and it was hinted that he was aware of who they were. He did that during the phase where his face had been ripped off, and he was wearing it like a mask. Well, this time, Joker shows up and unleashes a virus upon the entire city, which sends them into what can only be described as near unkillable versions of Joker-infected people. During the course of the story, up until this point, the cliffhanger the last issue left us on was that Jim Gordon put 2 bullets square in the head of the Joker, and the Joker got up. The backstory that has been revealed through this issue and through the previous issue is that the Joker may or may not be thousands of years old. There is an investigation that has been taking place secretly by Batman, where he has uncovered something he can't believe in the form of a legend of a pale man at Gotham's first forming that was murderous and, had a lot in common with the Joker. And when he found a picture of this person, it was him. And thus, through checking other versions of history and other crimes throughout Gotham throughout the last couple of centuries, he's found pictures of the Joker everywhere. So the implication being in this particular story is that this is Joker's last big hurrah with Batman. Death of the Family left Joker in a position of, well, you obviously don't care about me anymore, so let's stop acting like I care about you and let's just get this to the final end game we've always known it should get to. So essentially the gloves are off, and it's a very, very interesting read. I'm never one for defining the origin of the Joker. I don't think you should define the origin of the Joker, but I certainly think adding more mystery to it and adding it in such a way that Batman himself is questioning whether or not it is true, tying that history back to other immortal characters in the DC universe. It's implied that the same thing that has made the Joker immortal may have been the source of Vandal Savage's immortality, and that Ra's al Ghul himself is using a bastardized version of it in the Lazarus Pits. But whatever it is, this compound, this ingredient that exists that allows people to become immortal, it just exists in the Joker's body naturally. That's the implication that's given. Now, granted, this is all explained to Batman from the perspective of an absolutely insane Killer Quilt. Kudos to Scott Snyder for making Killer Quilt a goddamn interesting character, because
Killer what now?
Killer Quilt, man. He walks around with a patchwork quilt. He's an old Batman villain. Look him up.
I remember that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Batman, he in this version, he's really, 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 really interesting. And this particular issue ends with Batman being left in such a position that he has no one else to turn to, no old source of information, nowhere else he can go to find out whether this is true. So he goes to the oldest organization in Gotham, the Court of Owls, to, as he says himself, let's talk about history. And really good backup stories have been running in this book for a long time now. But for the last 3 issues, they've been backup stories by the likes of John McCrae. This one's by Sam Keith and James Tynion. And again, it's further exploring the ideas that the Joker has been telling different origin stories to pretty much everybody he meets all along the way, thus throwing further mystery onto the fact of whether this is actually the Joker's origin. We're finding out, is he actually an immortal being? Has he been there from the start? Has he just been testing Batman to see if he would be some sort of foil to him that would entertain him for a couple of centuries, or entertain him for a century rather than leave him bored? It's just a really good read, and if you like Batman and you like the Joker as characters, then this is a really, really top story to be reading. Check it out.
That's what really sounds like a really interesting conceit. I'm gonna once I have some free time. Well, actually, I'm off next week.
It was issue 37 had a wonderful scene. The tension had built wonderfully. Batman was on his way to save Jim Gordon, and the Joker was attacking Jim Gordon in Jim's house. All sorts of flashbacks to Barbara and what happened to her and all of that. And Jim Gordon, literally, as I said, puts 2 in the Joker, puts 1 in his head and 1 in his chest. The Joker goes down. His apartment is going up in flames, and as Jim is trying to break down the door so he can get out, Joker just gets up and puts an axe into Jim Gordon's chest. It was just one of those scenes where you're like, holy fucking shit, what? Like, you saw it, genuinely, you were like, I've never seen the Joker shot in the head and the chest before. Point blank range, you know what I mean? We were like, that's it, he went down, but he got back up. And Batman's convinced at this point that someone has done something to him to make him this way. And when he confronts Killer Quilt, who is scientifically somebody that might be capable of doing this, Killer Quilt comes to him with the opinion of, I didn't make him this way, I found him this way. You know? So it's really intriguing in that you really don't know what's going on with the Joker, and the Joker is always best when you don't know what's really going on with the Joker, and he's being a vicious, evil, horrible bastard, because that's what the Joker should be.
Okay, I'm sold.
Go read that book.
Sold.
Now, on to DC's other premium book, Superman, issue 38, by Jeff Johns and John Romita Jr. While I am not the biggest fan of John Romita Jr.'s artwork, I am one of the biggest fans of Jeff Johns when he writes Superman, and I'm gonna say it for what it is. We all now know that DC's New 52 is ending, and with that in mind, I'm shocked that finally, and I've said it before, that certain books really have missed the mark with Superman in the New 52, and this particular issue brings Superman back to almost a near identical position of continuity and place in the DC universe that he was before the New 52 happened. And let me explain how that is. For a long time now, Clark Kent hasn't worked at the Daily Planet. Clark Kent hasn't had any relationship with Lois Lane. Clark Kent has been at odds with Jimmy Olsen. It's been a very weird time to be a Superman fan, in that they tried to do everything they could to make him not stick to the norms of what he was doing for the last, forever. So they had him working at his own blogging website with Cat Grant, and I'm gonna skip all right past that shit because that shit's boring. This story has been interesting because what happened here is he's encountered a character called Ulysses, and this character is a human who whose parents were part of a scientific organization that were looking to develop teleportation techniques, and during an accident that they believed would end the world, these two scientists did what any two scientists in a situation like that do in a Superman book. They sent their child rocketing off to another world.
I thought they were going to have sex.
In this case, they sent their young human boy to a world in the 5th dimension.
Oh, the Mixelpix dimension.
No, not the Mixelpix dimension, the dimension above it. Sorry, 1 second, let me just check if it's the 4th or the 5th dimension, because I was getting mixed up on this previously. Yep, 5th dimension.
Yeah, that's the Mixelpix dimension, isn't it?
It's the 4th. Well, it's sorry, the 4th dimension. My apologies, the 4th dimension. So it's not the Mixelpix Batmite dimension.
Yeah, sorry for the pronunciation there. I'm just.
So Ulysses appeared on Earth and essentially had a counter Superman story. He arrived, found his homeworld did still exist. He believed it had been gone for his whole life. Found his parents alive, but he himself has been imbued with powers because of the dimension he's been living in. Powers essentially comparable to Superman. And in this issue 38, it's revealed that Ulysses has been, lying all along. Shock horror. And he's actually here to kidnap 6 million people from Earth with the prospect of them returning to the 4th dimension as a paradise that they can live out their days in peace in, whereas in actual fact he's just going to lob them in a big engine and use them as fuel to keep the 4th dimension as
that'll work.
That's what it is.
That's good.
Did you like that? Did you
just fuck him in a bin?
just fuck him in a big engine, burn him.
Stick him in the pond.
Stick him in the pond.
So, of course, Superman discovers this plan, and in a heroic attempt to try and save Ulysses from the person he has become, he points out that Ulysses' own parents are going to be destroyed when this happens. This causes Ulysses to, turn about face and try and help Superman at least get the people back to Earth. In the process, Superman accidentally blows up the ship that's bringing them back, manages to teleport everybody back to Earth, but in the process destroys Ulysses' world in the 4th dimension. It blows up eerily similar to Krypton as Ulysses and Superman are in orbit around it, which of course causes Ulysses to snap and, super fight ensues. But the really interesting thing about this is, I know that sounds a bit bog standard, it's essentially Superman fighting a dark mirror of himself. He does eventually stop Ulysses, and that's when the story started to get really interesting. And I know that might sound strange, but at the end of the story, Superman essentially has to develop a new superpower to stop Ulysses. And it's not really developing a new superpower, it's an extension of a previously existing superpower. Turns out that his heat vision has always been an outward siphon for the solar energy that he's been absorbing. But in one instance, there comes a point where Ulysses has grown so powerful that he's essentially about to crack the Earth open. And in order to stop him, Superman releases the power of every single piece of solar radiation in his body outward, causing what can only be described in the comic books as a super... Well, Jeff Johns has described it as a super flare. I liken it more to a supernova.
Flame on.
Absolutely flame on. He decimates everything within a 10-mile radius. Atomizes it. Absolutely burns it out. And leaves himself in a position where he's powerless for 24 hours. Batman swoops in, saves him, brings him back to the Batcave, patches him up, and here's where it really starts to get fun for me. Turns out, because of this super flare, that Kryptonian armor he's been rocking this whole time in the New 52?
Yeah.
Yeah, fucked it up real good when he set a supernova off from inside of himself, absolutely destroyed the armor. So he gets a new costume, which is made for him by none other than Alfred. So this new... Yeah, I know, right? So he arrives back into Metropolis, and he's had a bit of time to rethink things because he's had to get the bus to Metropolis. So he goes to Perry White with his story about Ulysses that he has written up, and Perry White gives him a position back at the Daily Planet. Jimmy Olsen, who for some unknown reason for the entire run of the New 52 has been a billionaire, decides to give away all of his money to the refugees left behind when they returned to Earth from the fourth dimension, with no homes, no jobs, and everything else. So he's given away all of his money to help these people, and left him in a situation where he has to basically ask Clark to move in with him again. So on the back few pages of this particular issue, we see Clark, first of all, moving back in with Jimmy, moving back into the Daily Planet, getting back into the swing of things with Perry, Lois, and all those guys, and getting a new costume, which is slightly, well, it's completely less armoured. It's now a fabric costume again. And moving in with Jimmy Olsen, who he then reveals that he's Superman to. So we find Superman at the end of the book with Jimmy Olsen being his best pal who knows who he is and lives with him, working back at the Daily Planet, with a new costume that's really, really close to his old costume, minus the red trunks. And it just seems that while the New 52 may be coming to an end, this version of Superman that has existed within it seems to be realigning himself back to the old ways rather than these experiments that they've been trying for a few years, and that's positive to see. So there's my review of Superman 38 and Batman 38.
I'm gonna check them both out because it's been laziness that stopped me from reading them, and I really it depends on the character a lot of the time, but I think that John Romita Jr. is one of my favorite artists.
Really, man, he inconsistently draws faces panel to panel. It's very, very strange sometimes. I find some of his artwork really decent, and I find some of it really, really jarring.
Well, it depends. Like some of his depends on the character. Like I think he's really well suited to drawing X-Men stories. I think he's more a Marvel style artist, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's on one of DC's biggest books. I mean, he always said he'd only go to DC to do Superman, and he's doing it. And in the space of this issue, he gives Superman a new power, a new costume, and realigns his continuity with a more familiar version of Superman than the one we've seen for the last couple of years in the New 52. So for that reason alone, I'm going to rate it as being a really, really good book, because it seems really late in the day in the New 52 to be writing the ship on Superman, but they did it.
Waves their paddle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons, the Transformers.
Okay, speaking of late in the day, we've been at this for 40 minutes and we've still got a full thing to do. Let's kick it. Let's kick it. Okay, our Sacred Cow segment last month with Spider-Man and his amazing friends was exceptionally well received, I should say. Had a lot of feedback for that, so we're doing another one. Kieran, Mark, Antonio, you chose the pilot episode of the Transformers More Than Meets the Eye, Part 1.
Yes.
Well,
you know what? It was always going to spiral into Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, because they're all one episode, really, aren't they?
Yeah. As it was properly, as Nick Roach always points out in this country, Arrival from Cybertron.
Yes.
That's
your video right there.
Let's give a bit of background here. The Transformers was made up of essentially American marketing executives looking for a new hot toy on the heels of Masters of the Universe, took 3 Japanese toy lines, stuck them together, made up a story for them, and it became the Transformers. That's all you need to know.
Another part of it that you should be aware of is there was a relaxing of advertising law in America, where before you couldn't just have a TV show that was just devoted to selling something.
Like toy shows, yeah.
Yeah, but basically, you couldn't just have a buy this toy show, which is why you found that your Thundercats, your He-Mans, your G.I. Joes, your Transformers, all basically mushroomed up at the same time.
Yeah, and listen, make no mistake about it. This is a cartoon that's designed for one purpose, and it's to make you want to buy the toys. And I have to say, gents, that this did its job expertly on me back in the day. I don't know how you first encountered this, but I got it via TVAM and their
Whack-A-Day.
Well, it wasn't a Whack-A-Day. It was actually originally came on. This is this is the old memory here for you. It was on the Roland Rat show, which was called ORAS, which was the official Worldwide Roland Rat Appreciation Society, or ORAS for short, and they played one of the dirtiest tricks ever perpetrated on a child watching TV on a summer morning. They cut each episode up into five-minute segments and played it all across the week. The dirty bastards. So a 45-minute episode, as this was, took 3 weeks to play out. Fuckers. I've never forgiven them.
Bitches.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a superstar. Right, so we're going to rock through this?
Yes.
Let's quick fire, right? We all know what the story of the first episode of Transformers is. The Transformers arrive from Cybertron on Earth, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But even in discussion before the cast, lads, we were messaging each other back and forth on Facebook, and a common thread seemed to you know what? We're adults now. We look back at these things and we can't help but, the veil of innocence has been removed.
Yeah. It really
Bumblebee,
is.
hang on to your crankshaft.
Oh, there are some good ones.
I'll tell you what, boys. I've refined my notes-taking process from last week by process of necessity. Well, let's just fly through it.
All right, we go one at a time.
Go.
One note each in a row. Go for it.
Okay, so
Me first.
go ahead.
Megatron orders the boarding chute deployed, which violently penetrates the Autobot ship, to which Jazz responds.
Whoa, no way.
Yeah.
You're missing all the cool stuff.
Hold on a little second. Okay, now the first thing that happens is introduction to. Did you not watch the start of the episode?
I did, yeah. I'm just.
Yeah,
You said fire notes. I made notes when something stood out.
Did you watch the YouTube video that Kieran posted that was the
Part
second?
two. No, I went back and found part one, man.
Yeah,
Jeez.
right.
Yeah.
Look, millions of years ago, swirly blue spaces, all the stuff we know, right? The first thing you missed out is the fucking wicked, super cool Cybertronian alt modes.
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah. All right, you go first then, Flanagan. Are you, Bobby?
Okay, well, it basically starts, the Decepticons are bad. It's really oversimplified, oddly enough. Read IDW's comics, they do it a lot better. But, Wheeljack and Bumblebee are, stealing some light bulbs, and they're driving along, and some Seekers who are cosplaying as pyramids show up to shoot the shit out of them, and but they manage to get back to Iacon. It's grand. It's like, yeah, we're going to find all this other
Stuff.
We're going to find a stuff, just energy.
Can I just one note that I made here was that despite being a planet that's home to giant robots, Cybertron appears to be one tiny and two permanently deserted. There never seems to be anybody there ever.
No, just the people that are in the story.
Yeah.
Well, that's because the planet has been ravaged by war, right?
Yeah, and as well as that, and The Walking Dead, you never see Rick and crew fighting a load of zombies, and you never see another crew just go, don't mind us lads, she's passing through, and you just never see them again because they're not part of the story.
No, true. Oh,
Anyway.
Well, one other note is that despite being set millions and millions of years ago, Bumblebee still has the exterior of a 1984 Volkswagen Beetle on his outside.
Yes, yeah, very much so. Yeah, because they could change the alt modes for this, and they only did it for there's it's Wheeljack, Bumblebee, the Seekers, and
Jazz.
The Black Transformer. I mean, the Transformer voiced by Scatman Crawlers.
Yes, continue.
Okay. So yeah, basically they get inside. They get the safety inside Iacon, and the Seekers fuck off. And Jazz shows up. Now, I may have mentioned something a bit racial about Jazz. Now, I'm going to read something. I'm going to read something from Dreamwave's source book. More Than Meets the Eye, their version of the official guide to the Marvel Universe. Now, from issue 7, and I remembered this, and I went to look it up, so I got it word for word. but from Pretender Jazz's biography, the last thing it says in it is, one weird thing. Spike always says he expected Jazz's Pretender shell to look a little different. What's that about?
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, fuck! I skipped out Soundwave, the lamppost.
Yeah, Soundwave's outload and Cybertron as a lamppost.
Kieran, take it away.
I checked the script. The script describes him as transforming into a light dispenser, so a fucking lamppost.
Fuck off. Right, Soundwave is the coolest motherfucker on the planet.
Yeah, and that's why he's such a good stealth agent, because he's a lamppost.
Yeah. Also, last note on Soundwave, his voice is just so cool.
You like that robotic voice, do you, Flanagan?
Yes, I get off on that shit, man.
That gets you sweaty? Yeah.
So they blast off. Megatron's plan seems to be to follow Optimus Prime and attack him later instead of now.
Optimus Prime's plan seems to be, right, lads, we've you know what, this place is fucked, we're fucking off.
Yeah. And then they're like, alright, we'll do that as well.
Yeah. So Megatron, not happy with finally having ruled Cybertron and finally beaten back the Autobots, as any logical, despondent, tyrannical leader would be, decides, no, I'm going to go after them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Megatron.
Starscream is just a little bitch the whole way through it.
I made one note on Starscream. Gun happy and overexcitable.
Yeah, well, the note I made was, as well as being gun happy and overexcitable, he's usually right. Like, in this bit where they're chasing him, they're like, Starscream goes like, look, they've seen us, we need to shoot them now. And Megatron's like, no, man, we need to see what's going on.
We have been detected. Stay with them.
Let's just blow them away! They've seen us!
No, I want to know what they're after.
And I was like, but you should have just shot them!
Yeah.
He's right, shoot them!
And another thing, this is like one of two notes I made about Starscream, but they're having an argument. Megatron, I will be leader. I can't do his voice. Megatron, I will be leader someday. Megatron says only a select few can lead, and what Starscream basically comes back with is, here Megatron, Chucky or la.
Fuck off, boss.
My time is coming, big man.
So,
watch your back.
So, you had wanted to make your point about the chute, did you not?
Oh, yes. The ships are in pursuit of each other, and Megatron orders the boarding chute deployed, which essentially is a big metal chute, which violently penetrates the Autobot ship, to which Jazz excitedly shouts that they're coming aboard. They're coming aboard.
And actually, I noticed that when they do come on board, instead of using like all the high-tech weaponry they have, they engage in like old-fashioned
shoving and pushing
fisticuffs. Yeah, like a good old greasy wrestling match.
Yeah,
good old
with metallic bonking.
There was more than one wrestling kind of reference in this show, and I'll get to that later when we get to the the slobber knocker main event of John versus Optimus Prime. But yeah, so G-forces hit the ship. Oh shit, they crash. Everybody's knocked out, and then boom, it's 4 million years later.
In 3 seconds.
Or in Kieran's video that he put up on YouTube, 4 million years later, backwards.
Yeah, 4 million years later, right? Now, I have a question here, Bobby, that you might be able to answer. And certainly that I found upon observation. Why the fuck does Teletran 1 start reviving Decepticons first?
Because
it doesn't see, it just sees injured. There's two ways of going about this. One is he doesn't see the difference between Autobots and Decepticons. The second one would be, even if he did, basically, he's... Well, I'm trying to think of it. What do you call it, doctors? Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Well, actually,
yeah, basically, all he wants to do is explore,
repair.
Repair.
Explore. Repair.
Well, to my eyes, it looked like he could only heal in a straight line, and Skywarp just happened to be lying there.
Yeah, so luckily enough, after all the Decepticons have left and woken up and gone, oh, well, haven't seen all of their lads unconscious there. You wouldn't think, after following all that way, they'd just start smashing heads while they were unconscious or something. But no, the series has to continue past the first episode. So obviously the Decepticons wake up and fuck off. They go off to find Energon of some sort.
But wait, you've got your second example there of Starscream being right. He says
it's an example of Starscream being majorly gun happy as he just starts shooting for no apparent reason down the distant valley.
Sorry, just him shooting causes the ship to vibrate. Optimus Prime. Now the Autobots were going to stay in a dormant state forever, but Starscream shooting the ship, basically knocks Optimus Prime into the path of the let's call it the
repair.
Yeah, basically. So typically, Starscream being a little bitch prevents Decepticon victory yet again.
So I'm just looking at my notes here. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here, and I've written the phrase "Starscream's a prick" 5 times.
Right. I found it very interesting as well at this point that, you know, after a 4 million year nap,
I know what you're going to say.
After a 4 million year nap, you'd think it'd be cranky, but no. 4 million years, you know, gets repaired. First thing Optimus Prime says is
Repair. Thanks.
Thanks.
Big thumbs up. Big thumbs up. Thanks.
Now, then they go about reviving all of the rest of the Autobots, and the first thing that struck me about the rest of the Autobots in this particular episode is that Cliffjumper, right? Cliffjumper has what I'm going to describe as big little bot syndrome, right? He's a tiny little bot, so he's overly aggressive to compensate for it. It's the only thing that he has. It's literally the only thing that he has.
Yeah, and that takes...
To the point where Optimus Prime sends Cliffjumper and Hound out to find the Decepticons. And as soon as they find the Decepticons, you know, Cliffjumper's like, right, I'm having a go at this, lad. And Hound is like, now hang on a second. Literally, ease off your throttle there, Cliffjumper. You know? But no, Cliffjumper decides that little tiny Cliffjumper, he's like, I got Megatron right in my sights.
And then he fucking misses.
And he fucking misses. Alert all of the other Decepticons to his presence.
Two things there. Firstly, did you notice Hound's Jimmy Stewart voice? It's like it was blatantly a Jimmy Stewart. It was like, hey, wait a minute now. The Energon's not here. It's in Bill's house and it's in Frank's house, and he doesn't stop Cliffjumper. He doesn't stop Cliffjumper from shooting. He says, maybe you want to rethink this now. But he said, where did you get this giant cannon from?
Now, I also want to point out that the way that the Decepticons form Energon in this particular instance is, I don't know, there was something about it. We get to, you know, Megatron discovers this oil rig, right?
Yeah.
And you know, shit kicks off. This is where, you know, Spike and his dad come into it because they're working on the oil rig. I did love that Rumble just punts Spike into the ocean.
Yeah, when they land on the oil rig, these like the guys in the oil rig start throwing like wrenches and spanners at the Decepticons.
A big alien robot. You're gonna throw the nearest bit of, you know, can you find on the ground at them, of course.
If a Megatron picks up a pipe and fucks it at them, it's great.
Actually, Rumble bitch slaps Spike twice in this episode.
He does. But yeah, so, you know, they're attacking this oil rig in order to convert the oil into Energon. Now, from what I understand, the conversion process for oil into Energon is a lot like the conversion process for hash oil into hashish. Essentially, all you do is you put it in a big thing and you get a big robot to stand on top of it and compress it, and so it becomes Energon, much like hash. There you
like
go.
If you're making, like if Shaggy and Scooby are making a big massive sandwich, but that's plainly not going to fit in their mouths.
Yeah.
And what do? You squash it down to a wee tiny sandwich.
It's
perfect.
It's a very versatile energy source because you can make it with pretty much anything. You can do it with oil, raw electricity, crystals, diamonds, you know, and then also...
As long as you've got Starscream's null ray, right?
Yeah.
And Soundwave's magic ability to make holographic cubes, right?
By the way, did you notice the sound effects that were used whenever he was producing the cubes?
Lightsabers.
Well, actually, in one scene it's the lightsabers, and in another scene it's the doors opening and closing sound effect from the original Star Trek.
Interesting. So basically, at this point, Megatron fucks up the oil rig and nicks all of the load of Energon, right? and we're left at the cliffhanger moment where basically the stupid humans are left to die.
Sorry, can I do the cliffhanger sound?
Do it.
Dun 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 dun. That's it.
There's every single music cue in this was like Proustian, and its ability to transport me back to that seeing it originally. You know, there's so many of them. There's yep. Great.
Now, the second episode for me, shit got a bit weird.
Yeah, really weird.
All right, let's just get into. I'm gonna just read out some of my notes on the second episode. We'll get into the story itself, but my notes just kind of stand out to me, just so you can get in the right frame of mind for where this episode goes. Right. So from what I see, Spike likes Optimus Prime. Right.
He would make a great president.
Right. He really likes Optimus Prime. But conversely to that, Hound really likes Spike. Right.
Can I just point something out as well? That this is one of the few notes that I took on this, but you did notice, you did say about Hound's Jimmy Stewart voice. The way he says hologram kind of put me in the mind of a male stripper that did extras.
Yes.
I'm a hologram.
Did you see? There's a bit where Spike asks, "How do you transform?" And Hound goes, "Easy, like this," and he transforms. And it cuts to like a close-up of Spike's face, and he goes, "Incredible."
Yeah, there's a. You see, this is all lead. This is what I'm talking about, right? So we figure out that Spike likes Optimus Prime, right? But Hound likes Spike. So obviously, the pressure of this love triangle leads Spike to sit upon a hilltop, writing his feelings in a journal.
Yes, his diary.
Come on, give him a break. Blogger hadn't been invented then.
At which point, somehow, Soundwave has decided, right, I'm going to turn it into a Walkman size me, right? So Spike can just pick me up and bring me into the Autobot base. Because, you know, if you're a kid at 8 and you find a Walkman, you're going to keep it.
Yeah, I'm sitting here writing my journal in the desert. A Walkman? Oh my god!
Sweet! So as you say, Spike wants to find out more about the Transformers, so Hound transforms for him, and then, in Hound's own words, "Don't worry, Spike, I'm going to take you for the ride of your life," and they go for a romantic sunset drive in the desert, where, you know, Spike looks really happy as the wind brushes in his hair as Hound just drives off into the sunset. So randomly cuts back to the Autobot base. Hound's nowhere to be seen, and Spike looks satisfied.
He does look satisfied, actually.
Right. And at this point, Soundwave transforms. Shit, he's caught, and decides to pull a legger out of the Autobot base with Ravage in tow. Having downloaded a load of shit off Teletran 1. God knows what it was. Probably shit off eBay. Yeah.
Operation U-Tree style stuff, probably.
Yeah.
Right. So the Autobots decide that they have to go after the Decepticons again. Because, you know, that's what the Autobots do. They go after the Decepticons. So, something that struck me in this episode as well is that, I may be wrong in this, but I've always had it in my head that the Autobots didn't fly.
Right. This is one of the notes I had as well. It's like, in later episodes, it's clearly established that the Decepticons can fly, Autobots can't, unless, even as it happens in this episode, unless they've got another method of propulsion, like Sideswipe's rocket pack. But jetpack, yeah, but in this, they're like clearly just going. There's like one bit where they go, "Let's take off." Okay.
Yeah, and they fly away. Well, this is where we're at, right? So they go off, and this time around, the Decepticons are attacking at the Hoover Dam. Is it the Hoover Dam? It's a dam anyway.
Sherman Dam, and they're trying to.
Their plan is to unleash the power of the dam, flood it, and therefore create a high enough level of electricity that they can create energon.
It's a pretty shrewd plan. Pretty sure.
Yeah. Evidently, energon runs out, like, you know, and hits you hard and fast like some sort of space crack, because they got a fair whack of compressed energon out of that last hit. They've obviously just used it up, and they're like, right, let's go get another hit.
Yeah, more.
Do you know what they call their? They have a plan to create a tidal wave to make energy. Do you know what they call their plan? Their operation?
Operation Tidal
Wave. That's right. Yeah.
Actually, if you go back and look at that exact bit, right, he goes, Soundwave goes, rumble, eject, Operation Tidal Wave. Did you see the weird kind of, I'm making a wave with my arm, kind of pop and lock thing that Soundwave does with his arm? I swear to God, he goes up. You can't see me do it, but it's Operation Tidal Wave.
Yes,
you know, like you're saying to somebody, do you want a tidal wave from like across a crowded bar? Tidal wave. Do you want a tidal wave?
There's also a bit there where Megatron tells Starscream, or he tells all the Decepticons the plan, and Starscream goes, "No, Megatron, that's a shite plan." And Megatron hits him with maybe the greatest insult I've heard all week.
Your knowledge is only overshadowed by your stupidity, Starscream.
It's like, Starscream, your knowledge is only overshadowed by your stupidity. It's like, what? Your knowledge is only overshadowed by your stupidity. Okay.
So leads to the, the slobber knocker, the main event, the Hell in the Cell, the fucking Elimination Chamber, Laser Axe versus fucking Laser Mace, Optimus Prime versus Megatron, right? So I've taken some notes from the fight, and here it is. Optimus Prime talks smack very well. Possible good promo piece. Possible babyface push. Megatron, Laser Mace doubles as helicopter. Possible entrance theme for future fights.
Yes.
You can picture it at a WrestleMania. Think about it.
Because there's at the end of that fight where he's swinging it over his head and flying off, cackling.
Yeah, he's using the Laser Mace as a helicopter.
Cackling like a madman. And my note says, Megatron is an amazing bastard.
Megatron is an amazing bastard, but all I got from that is that Optimus Prime talks smack, man. The promos out of that guy, I'm telling you.
Oh, he's a great guy.
You see, he flies away going, "Hi, you said I was old Optimus Prime, but I fucking beat you by." Oh.
Right.
I think it's like literally, he says, like, "You said I was old. No, you're old. Ha 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 ha."
So, during the course of the fight, again, somehow, for the second time in the episode, Spike has landed in the water. And this time, Hound takes it upon himself to give him a nice rub down afterwards.
I had it here in my notes as a sensuous massage.
I had it in my notes, this looks like anal sex.
So, that Hound Spike thing, right?
It's really weird because in every other episode of it, the sort of audience avatar friendship is between Bumblebee and Spike.
Evidently, Hound's a man that pleases and leaves.
And
out, home washed.
There you go. So this leads us on to part 3, and I think I've talked enough now. Let someone else talk.
Okay. At this point, the Decepticons have been rampaging across the globe, stealing Energon, seemingly untouched by the Autobots. It cuts to Megatron's HQ, where he's like a pimp in a 1970s blaxploitation movie, saying that they have enough Energon to go back to Cybertron, but they just need one last big score before they can get off the streets. Cut to Starscream, as you say, Mark Antonio, acting like this is another one where I've said Starscream's a prick. He's outside shooting off a gun to test the Energon. You needed to test the.
I forgot to mention that he tried to tone it down in episode 2, be a little bit less shooty, so he got out his dainty slingshot.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh God, that was what was the point? Why would you have a gun on each arm? Only to use a fucking slingshot.
The episode was full of stuff like that, for a toy commercial where they were saying, and they threw in loads of little things to say, look, well, this character's function is, Laserbeak's a spy and Ratchet's a doctor and all this stuff. They threw in little things, but they also had like loads and loads of scenes where they would use abilities and powers that the toy didn't have, so there was no point in showing you anyway. Is like Wheeljack has a fire extinguisher in his hand.
Yeah, Jazz's grappling gun
Yeah,
arm that he uses like 3 times in these 3 episodes.
And then it's never seen again.
All of which to save Optimus Prime, oddly enough.
Yeah. So they need, now that Starscream has wasted that electricity or energon, they need 2 big scores. So they have
yeah, basically Starscream's used up all the energy and got a shooting buzz.
it was doing something like that old crazy cowboy guy in The Simpsons, you know, that does the fancy shooting. Although Starscream doesn't make a good point. Again, it was like he says, you never tested it. It's like, yeah, and that speaks to Starscream's scientist background. So they go to plunder the ruby crystal mines of Burma. So the ruby, what? Did they go?
This is so many fucking holes, and I know it shouldn't matter, suspension of disbelief, but good God, this is just so many.
Think of everything this one episode spawned.
Yes.
The whole empire came from this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I love it. Nonetheless, I know we sound like we're ripping the shit out of it.
This is it's affectionate, yeah.
Yeah,
man. It's with love that we say this, because it's one of those things that, you know, every now and again you go back and you watch it, and it has that special place in your heart. So you kind of go,
yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah.
okay.
I was trying to explain the Dinobots to my ex-girlfriend this one time, and she was going, that there's fucking stupid. Sure, how are they robots in disguise? That there's a big robot dinosaur.
Do you know
That's ruined the whole premise for me. And what I fired back with, in a sudden moment of clarity, I says, actually no. The whole premise of it was ruined on day 1. Because, see, like, a red van goes past, fair enough. See, a big red truck goes past, fair enough. Ambulance goes past, fair enough. See, Mirage, the wee prick, goes past. Driving down the street as a Formula 1 car. You would comment on that. So the premise of robots in disguise was never sound from day 1. But that doesn't matter, because, you know, we love it so much.
So, unbeknownst to the Decepticons, Trailbreaker, Spike, and Sparkplug have been eavesdropping and also having a little coffee.
Having a wee bit of tea.
Having a little coffee. And they're like, Megatron's up to no good. Let's report our findings to Optimus Prime. So they go and report to Optimus Prime, and he's like, oh, we better stop these Decepticons. So they presumably, as everything in this episode, they drive to the ruby crystal mines of Burma. They have no means of flying. They drive there.
Oh, but they flew in the last episode.
Quiet, you. And they come up with a plan to stop the Decepticons. A bomb.
We're gonna fuck a grenade in there.
We're going to put a bomb in the mine. And who do they send to deliver this bomb? Why, only an old man and their smallest, weakest guy. By the way, Sparkplug here gets off my favourite line of the episode, saying, I prefer being a spy to working on the oil rigs. It's great.
As he's probably still wearing his hard hat. And
yeah. So Sparkplug and Bumblebee obviously get captured, and Prime gets worried about, so he sends someone to investigate. Who does he send? Does he send some stealthy agent, one of the smaller robots perhaps, or somebody that can get in and out quickly? No, he sends Roller, who is like a shit toy part of Optimus Prime. Did you notice the R2-D2 sound effects there?
I did.
Yep.
Now, something that we missed out in the previous one. Remember when Hound and Cliffjumper were escaping from the Decepticons? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
is this Laserbeak's gun?
Well, but no, it's not. Well, it's sort of right. Hound gets shot and he rolls down a hill and he's really badly injured. So badly injured that they have to come and get someone to take him away because he can't transform from falling off a cliff. Right? Remember that.
Yep.
So Prime sends Roller up to find them. The bomb goes off and Prime gets knocked down the hill. Like, he gets knocked off a cliff again and he's rolling down and it's like ah!
Kieran, 2 seconds.
What?
Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun.
Right, so that's the cliffhanger for that episode, and it comes back and he's at the bottom of the cliff and they're like, Optimus Prime, are you alright? He's like, I don't know. He's really badly hurt and has difficulty transforming, right? He has difficulty transforming. Remember that. It will become important. Yeah. It will become important later, right?
Yeah.
So, in the meantime, the Decepticons have survived anyway, and they fly away, laughing again. The Decepticons really come off much, much better than the Autobots in this. They always succeed in everything they do, and they're just like, ah, and Megatron's at his again. He's like, fuck you, Prime, I've got the Energon cubes, see ya.
They're just better organized.
Yeah, Ironhide tries to fly after them, and he gets his head kicked in.
Right.
So, because of young Starscream's impetuousness, the Decepticons need one last big score. So the Autobots set up an insidious plan. They pretend they pretend to let Ravage, who they captured earlier, escape. They say, and their plan consists of standing outside Ravage's cage and going, gee, Optimus Prime, I've heard about this rocket fuel base. That's a really good source of energy. Yes, it is a good source of energy. I hope no one finds out about it. So Ravage escapes, and the Autobots are rubbing their hands together in glee. It's like, ha ha ha, we are the new Jeremy Beatles. We have fooled Megatron. And then the illusion is made by, they create a holographic rocket fuel laboratory, and all the Autobots, the mini Autobots, the smaller ones, put on their fiendish disguises of coats and
from Big and Tall Laboratory Supplies, I think it was.
There was just like, like in an episode of Beatles About, wherever like the person would be going mental, and then Jeremy Beadle would pull off the beard and go, "Oh, Jeremy, you fooled us again." This is apparently what the Autobots are trying to pull off here, but in the Vince Russo style, it's a swerve. Megatron knew all about their plan. So he sends like shit Decepticons full of like springs and things. And for like the third time in this episode, the Autobots are standing around going, "What the fuck?" And Megatron flies past going, "We robbed the real rocket lab when you were fucking around down here. Now we're going to our big spaceship and going home. See yous." Off they go. Optimus Prime, so they go on one last full frontal assault, and it's one of the, there's like one time in each episode they do a thing like where they say the names of all the toys. They think, "We need volunteers to go on this mission, who's coming?" And they say Prawn, Wheeljack, Ironhide, so everybody knows the names of the toys when they go to the shop. So they drive along, and no, I didn't catch this. If memory serves me correctly, they drive in a circle around the spaceship for a bit.
Yes, I think he actually says surround the Decepticon base.
Right, the Decepticon base is a spaceship that's going to go up the way, so they drive around it in a circle. Also, when they first, when they scout the location of that Decepticon base, like at the very start of the second episode, Megatron indicates like two rocks in the distance and goes, those two rocks will be our base of operations. And I thought, wow, Megatron, reach for the stars there, mate. It's even worse.
We will call this land.
So the Decepticons get away, right? The Decepticons get away scot-free. Nobody can do anything, right? And Optimus Prime says, "No, man, fuck this shit." Sticks a jetpack, borrows Sideswipe's jetpack, and flies up after them. And the Decepticon response is a simple and measured one. They blow him out of the sky.
This is what they should have done in episode 1.
Just blow him out of the sky. Starscream goes, "I'll take care of this." Pew pew. Down he goes. Mirage has hidden on the ship, and he does something, and the systems are going haywire. What? Mirage was on the ship.
Let's go down.
Either of you?
Bobby, you got me?
Yeah. I just flying.
Hello?
Drop.
I'm here. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. You completely dropped out there.
Temporary difficulties.
Okay, so Mirage is on the ship, and he does something, and the ship crashes, and it's like, no, the Decepticons have crashed, why? And Mirage parachutes down, and he's like, yay! goodbye, and everything is happy. You know, the episode is over, and Spike is writing in his diary that the governments of the world have decided to help the Autobots revitalize Cybertron. Never mentioned again, ever again.
It's the first time they've agreed on anything.
And it's basically like, and I can't wait to go to Cybertron. Hound has promised to show me some of his Cybertronian gladiator movies, that sort of thing. You know, it's like, but have we seen the last of the Decepticons? And it cuts to a shot of Megatron in his new cave, or his new hideout in the Little Mermaid style under the sea. And, you know, it's like, oh, will it continue? The answer is yes, obviously it will continue.
Yeah, of course it'll continue.
They had a license to print money on their hands there. So, any notes before we give our thoughts, gents? Anything we haven't covered here?
Oh, God, it is basically my childhood. As much as I enjoy talking smack about it, you know, this was it for me. You know, some kids were like into their G.I. Joe. Some kids were massively into their wee brother, who followed like about 10 years after me, massively into the Ninja Turtles. It was mid-80s Transformers. That was the shit. That was it was a massively cynical ploy to get me, every time I was in Portrush, to go into a certain shop whose name I can't remember and go, can I have a toy? And then they'd buy me 2 of the cassettes, and then I go, where the fuck's Soundwave? And they go, I wasn't there. So I had Rumble and Laserbeak and no fucking Soundwave until I was in my 20s. Just saying.
Me too. Mark and Sonia, you're a little younger than us, so you probably were a little too young to appreciate Transformers. You know,
during my first Holy Communion, I spent some communion money on getting some Transformers. I had an original Optimus Prime, but I did I was there when it hit over here. I was just young enough that I got to see the movie in the cinema. I don't recall much of the day. I remember Optimus Prime dying, obviously.
Boys, for me, when I sat down to watch this for the first time in many years, I was just immediately transported back to the summer of 1985. I could see it, I could smell it, I could hear it, and it's one of those things where it's so ingrained in my subconscious now that it's going to live there forever.
It sounds like this.
Representing the body count, Hollywood, California, fly.
Warrior!
Can I just point out, you can't see it, but every time that comes on, I'm like shucking it. Yeah, boy. Shucking and jiving here. There's one other thing I wanted to say. It was so simplistic. It was just so simplistic. Like, it was just like, even in the opening narration, it's like, it's a battle between good and evil. Heroic Autobots, evil Decepticons. Like, people like us who grew up with this, people like Nick Grosh and John Paul Beauvais and John Barber and James Roberts, have taken this and actually...
Darren Fahey.
Did he really grow up, though?
Yeah.
They've taken this and worked it into something much more sophisticated, which is great. And you know, it was, I really enjoyed it. There was one line that I've got a soundbite of this, and I need to stick it in. It's the bit where Starscream's being a prick and shooting at the ship after they've escaped, and they're saying, "Oh, we've got to go and plunder Earth's resources," and they say, like, "Yeah, we're going to steal Earth's resources. We're going back to Cybertron." And they say, "Well, how do we even know Cybertron still exists?" And Megatron goes, "It must exist." Just brushing him off. So Starscream's shooting the ship, and Megatron was like, "What the fuck are you doing this time?" And he says, "I'm just saying goodbye." And Megatron says, and I've got the quote here, it's like, "Save your energy. The Autobots have taken their last flight," as if he'd made the most rum jape of the season at a gentleman. Their last flight.
Save your energy. The Autobots have taken their last flight.
And then it was Starscream talking some smack then, like, you know, behind Prime's back going, aye, thanks for the ride, big man. Shame it's your last one.
There's another bit where he's like, Starscream's like, his mission statement is, you know, someday I'm going to be in charge, Rumble. You know, I'm going to be giving the orders. And Rumble's like, you're not. You're fucking not. You're useless. You're a prick, and everybody knows it. And Starscream says, like, wait and see. And he said, no, look, you're never going to be in charge. And then Starscream says, right, knock down that building so we can gather resources. And Rumble goes, all right, and the power. It's great.
All the time, Hound's giving Spike a nice rub down.
I thoroughly enjoyed watching this again. It's a really great episode, and clearly our listeners did as well, because we've got stacks and stacks of comments about this. Right, so let's see who's saying what.
Boys, I gotta call time on this soon.
Well, we'll save the comments for another time then. What time is it now? Let's fuck it. We're done. There are no.
Okay, well, on that glorious note, this has been a wonderful tribute to Transformers. Thanks for letting me pick it this time, guys. Who's next?
Bobby's choice.
I've no idea at the minute, because
think about it.
Had I have been, you know, here for last episode, and they would have went, oh, what are we doing? I would have went, fucking Transformers. So you beat me to it, you bitch.
I saw my opportunity while you weren't there, and I took it, Bobby.
That's you know, to the victor of the spoils. Okay, I will think about it. It will be a surprise, and Rumble is blue and Frenzy is red.
Peace.
Peace.